Welcome to the Ask Jordan podcast, answering your questions about selling on Amazon. Now, he's flipped more toys than a stadium full of toddlers. From Long Island, New York, here's your host, Jordan Malik.
Hello, Amazon sellers. Jordan Malik here. It's midsummer 2014. This is the Ask Jordan podcast 30th episode. I don't know about you, but I had a July 4th vacation that took me away from everything for about 10 days. So that screwed everything up. I was hoping to jump right back into podcasting, but here we are a month later from the last podcast in late June. And so it's great to be back. I hope you're having a safe and happy summer. I can smell your barbecue out back right now. I can hear the baseball game down the street in your backyard right now. I'm sure you can too. And despite what our country and the world is going through today, it's great to have you. It's great to be in America. So thanks so much for taking time out. Your calls have been coming in. You're expressing your loyalty to the show. I love your comments. I respect your listenership. We've had just about 30,000 downloads since we launched in late March of 2014. So just about 4 months, 30,000 downloads, very respectable. This show is all about you. This isn't a venue for me to hear my voice. You have questions about selling on Amazon. I'm here to answer them for you without a lot of gobbledygook. We want to give you a little direction, a little bit of courage so you can move forward. I'm going to get to all your questions. Some have already been answered. So if you've ready to submit a question, just check first. It might already be answered. Go to askjordan.net and check out all our episodes. Every episode, we do answer a question from you, the listener, about selling on Amazon. Missed an episode? Go to askjordan.net and scroll down. You can view them all. If you want to hear your voice on an episode, you can submit a question. Just go to askjordan.net for all the details. If your question is picked on the show, you get 7 of my best-selling ebooks, just like the fellow who called in that we're going to play for you today. All those ebooks are worth well over $75, 100% free for you if your question is picked. Today's question is from Jonathan. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, Jordan. This is Jonathan in St. Louis, Missouri, calling about wondering when I'm on Amazon full-time. Currently, I have a full-time job, but I'm dabbling in selling on Amazon, and I have for several years, but now getting more serious about it. Just curious on your thoughts and if you have any opinions on the matter. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your podcast. Bye.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm so glad you answered that question. I could really talk about this for about an hour or more or write a book on it, going full-time. Jonathan wants to know, should he go full-time with his FBA business? And I got a lot to talk about on that subject. Jonathan, I started doing it part-time like you, maybe about 4 years ago. I was dabbling in it and doing it on the weekends, finding products, books, items, used books, items in stores, etc. And I got fired from the world's largest ad agency in 2009 or 2010, I forget. But I got fired kind of out of the blue. Well, I kind of expected it because I didn't enjoy the job, but that was a kind of a blessing in disguise because that forced me to take the business full time, which I wanted to do all this time anyway. But we have, there's always these things called peer pressure, or the notion of what society expects us to do. They expect us to still today get a secure full-time job and work 30 years and get a gold pen when you're finished, etc. So if you're in a job right now, in a full-time job that you're not enjoying, or you don't feel like you're growing, or if you understand the benefits of kind of having your own business, your own freedom to do what you want, I do highly suggest you take your business full time. And I know what you're thinking, if this is scary. It is scary to do because you're all of a sudden, if you decide to take it full time, you're all of a sudden your own employer, right? You're responsible for your own payroll. You're responsible for probably for your own health insurance. You're responsible for your own taxes as an employer. You got to do things like get an accountant, et cetera. And that's not something you need to do all at once, but you need to obviously consider those things. So it's simply a question of multiplying. If you're doing a part-time business with FBA now and you're making, say, I don't know, $1,000 profit every month, and you're only spending 10, 20 hours, just think what you do when you multiply that by, a 40-hour work week or whatever. And that's what I did. I started out small, part-time, and then I took the business full-time. And yes, at times it was scary, but, let me throw some numbers around for you. Our last year, 2013, we worked our FBA business in a very part-time fashion. We kind of do that. It's just me and my wife. We work our FBA business part-time every year, really. It's the equivalent of a part-time job for each of us. And I would say on average, we put in about maybe 15 hours a week. That's 15 hours a week each. So my wife probably puts in, I don't know, say 5 to 10 hours, and I'll probably put in like 10 to 15. So it's somewhere like 12 to 15 hours on average per person. And that has translated in 2013. We did a total sales on Amazon of $144,000. And then our take home pre-tax on that was $70,000. And that's obviously, that's probably higher than the average house. I'm not sure what the average household income is in America today, but that's probably higher than the average household income, right? So I can't think of another business where you could actually work at part-time and get the equivalent of a full-time household income. And there are people look at me and say, well, Jordan, you've got a big education, MBA. None of that really applies. I've written this before my blog, HonestOnlineSelling.com. I have an MBA yet, but what I've learned in most of my college education kind of doesn't apply to what I'm doing selling products on Amazon. There's people that are with a far less formal education than me that are doing 2 to 3 to 4 times the amount of sales that I'm doing. And that's a fact. There's plenty of Amazon sellers that don't have a college education. Maybe they don't even have a high school education. I don't know. So it's really something that's accessible to anybody to do. And the cost of entry is extremely low. You're not talking about, spending thousands of dollars up front. It's really just, if you want to get started, you could do it for $200-$300. And I know that, Jonathan, you've already started, but you're weighing the risks of going full time. And my suggestion is to go for it. You're going to have to be real comfortable with change, right? You're going to have maybe your current employer provides your health benefits, and you don't have to worry about things like paying taxes or establishing yourself as a corporation. You should meet with an accountant before you do anything. Talk with an accountant. Maybe if you have a friend who owns a business, your accountant doesn't have to be e-commerce savvy. All they need to know about debits and credits and looking at your bank statement. So you should talk with an accountant about that. You should explore getting health insurance on your own to see what that would cost you. Maybe your state has one of those new Obamacare healthcare exchanges. You should be looking at that. I look at the risk of comparing risks of working on your own versus being employed by somebody very different now. For me, going to work for an employer is extremely high risk for me now. I think that would apply to anybody who's considering being their own business. Virtually having a business like selling products on Amazon, selling products on eBay. There's another, 100 things that you could do when you work for yourself. But where I've worked before, if my employer boss had a bad day, he could come in and fire me or fire whomever. That to me is extremely high risk. Today, I control my own destiny, right? So I do a number of things besides, I have a number of companies. Just selling on Amazon FBA is one of those. But I control my income by how much effort I want to put in, because it really truly is limitless. If you think about it, right? Some folks just limit their scope. They say, okay, if I'm going to be a seller on Amazon, all I've got is the inventory that you get in retail stores. So I'm very limited. Well, that's not true, because there's so many ways that you can expand into other product categories that are limitless, like used books. I recently talked a lot about used books. It's almost a limitless supply of inventory. And then you get into the whole line of thought of having your own line of products. If you get so big where you can start creating your own products that are not in the Amazon marketplace yet, whether you do that through private labeling creating your own product at home or whatever, that's a whole different animal. But Amazon has opened up the doors for you, if you have your own product or if you're just reselling other products, to sell your stuff to the whole world. And that's really an exciting proposition, exciting time. So I suggest you to do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying, as long as you jump into it 120%. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone of receiving a steady paycheck every week. And there's no better time than now. And the beauty is you can do this part-time until you're ready to make the leap. That's what I was doing. It just happened to be coincidental. I was doing this part-time and I was ready to make the leap into full-time, and I had enough income coming in doing selling on Amazon as a part-time business that eventually it didn't matter whether or not I had a full-time real job, because the income that came in was exceeding that. So good luck, Jonathan. Let us know how you make out. Jonathan gets all 7 of my best-selling ebooks because he submitted this question to the podcast. Jonathan, just go to AskJordan.net, look for the little icon, mailbox icon. When you click on that icon, it'll bring up a form. You can email me and let me know your email address so I know where to send those 7 ebooks to. Hey, thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Ask Jordan podcast. We'll see you soon.